What's going on? Move the Mouse here, back in the town of Springdale. I almost said Santa Rico, but it's Let's Play Season 4, episode number 8. And I didn't do too much offline, getting us to 36,000, but there was this massive industrial demand, which we're going to meet with office space. So I extended the grid system down here, put it at a bit of an angle to change up the flow a little bit, and then I figured we could start working with the terrain when we get a little bit further from the river on each side. We'll kind of angle this up around below this hill, build some housing over here up towards the river, and we can have some fun with that. But today, I want to stamp out the zoning, so we'll get some more office. I'm thinking maybe another IT sector across the river, at least the first couple blocks. So we have some really tall buildings up by the river. I did start dropping in some of the uniques, but they're honestly like, there's just rows of them in some spots. Couple little plazas and things like that. Nothing too exciting. These are not the final places for these things. It's just to kind of get us on the path to monuments, but we've got so much time before we hit that. 36,000 was our last milestone that we just hit. 50, we get nuclear power, which is going to be awesome. 75, we get the airport, and at 90,000, that's when we get the international and the monuments. So it'll be there before we know it, but in the meantime, let's meet some of this industrial demand. We'll pause real quick, and I want to paint out. I think I'm going to go these first two blocks. Let's do that. And we'll come over here, and we'll angle it, and we'll try and come right down the street. This is definitely something, I've said it before, is a little bit easier with a mouse. But if you switch to the smaller tool and just kind of draw your outer perimeter like this, that you don't overlap things that you don't want to, you can then switch over to one of the bigger tools and just fill in the rest of the district that way. So we'll make a little bit of a spot here along the river, and we'll probably extend this maybe down that way, so we've got some really tall skyscrapers along the riverfront. It's the expensive property anyways, so we'll do a couple blocks of that. Let's get our office specialization out and define that as IT. You'll notice that the IT district is settling down quite a bit now that we've met all the commercial space. We've got lots of commercial down here and office over here. Let me bring up the zoning to show you kind of how I filled this in as the demands crept up. We've got a lot of commercial down here by the water. Big, huge block of offices. And then this is starting to fill out nicely. This is our mirrored residential on the other side of the park. So we'll probably get some, it'd be nice to get some residents in down here by the river on this side. The other side of the office park there. So let's get the fill tool out. Let's stamp this in. Get some IT offices moving in. We haven't done anything with the metro yet. We'll take a look at traffic this episode too, just to see where that's at. You know that I love, well, I say you know, if you've been watching, you know I love my loop systems, but maybe we'll try and do something a little different this time around. I might do some basic loops just to start, but this is definitely one that we're going to want to build out into a major metropolitan area with a big focus on this central park. And just to kind of give you a sense of perspective, we'll remove this later, but we do have some money in the bank. So this is the actual central park object. I put the lungs of the city on the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Not quite centered, unfortunately. But that's the central park object. So we still have plenty of room if we wanted to use that in Central Park, but I think it might be nice to have this park, the central park object, someplace else. And we'll, when Park Life ships, kind of do this same thing. We'll build our own little paths and plazas and little objects and trees, and we'll kind of craft it manually. But in the meantime, let's drop that in there. Let's hook up the roads so that people can get to it by car. So maybe we'll do this. We'll connect it in from these side streets rather than from that 6-lane avenue. That way people have one more way to pass through the city if they needed to. Because we've already got a fair amount of traffic there. You'll notice the trick that I did here with the crosswalks enables people to get from there to there, or just on this side of the street, walking over to the lungs of the city, to Central Park. These trees are very different colors, so I think it would be good to split these up into different parts of the city later on down the road. But for right now, good enough. We've got this defined off as IT. We'll let people start moving in there. Maybe we could round out this a little bit. I deleted some roads to get these in here. Again, I just wanted to start dropping in the uniques so that we're ready when we have money to spare. Not a bad thing. We've dropped in all the level 1, level 2, and level 3 buildings. We'll pop down the 4, 5, 6 as we go. Definitely things like the Expo, Aquarium, Science Center. I kind of want to have like a little district, maybe right over here, kind of between these two wedges of the 6-lane roads. Let's get power and water over here. I already forgot. This is not connected yet. And we'll clean these lines up later on down the road. I will tell you what, we won't block off. Let's see if we can get over there. I'd like to put it right there. That'll work. That'll power that zone. Water is just a matter of extending our pipes down here. Maybe we could do a new grid. Might be good on this new angle. Rather than kind of going with the old system, which was not oriented in this direction. Oh, come on. We want that perfect overlap. We want to save our money for now and not waste. Okay, zoom in. 440, please. Thank you. All right. I guess I should have extended this one out a bit. The cover down there. But that will be good for now. This will enable us to kind of build off of this block as other demands crop up. Hopefully a big residential demand coming soon to a town near you. Why won't it let me go 440? 460, 420, 420 it is. Okay, so that is all. I was going to say that's all water, but we didn't actually hook it into the system. So that's not going to help anybody. And just in case, we'll do one little extra redundant pipe over here. That filled up really quickly. We'll want to continue to extend that, I think, over here. But we'll see as the needs crop up. One thing we should think about relatively soon, again, is the metro. We're going to want to be able to move people around the city a little bit more efficiently. But for right now, let's try and move some other things in and out of the city. And specifically, the cargo harbor here. So cargo harbor ships out goods and brings in materials for industry and power plants. So let's find a spot for that. That looks pretty good. We could go over here. We're kind of building out over this side first. So I think we can get in here. Maybe we'll turn this into a highway that runs along this side of the city and exits off into a couple different spots, and could also carry traffic down here to shipping. That might be kind of a fun little project for today. So let's do that. Let's turn this building off for now, because until we hook it up, it doesn't really matter. Let's get working on this. So 700,000 in the bank. That's pretty good. Let's get rid of that and that. And let's extend this highway out. So let's see what this is going to cost to bring this down. Highway projects are always really expensive. So we will come down and just kind of carry this straight on down. Let's see. Are we going to run into that big hill? We could tunnel underneath. That might be interesting. Should I have done that before? Let's maybe plan out our off-ramps. So a Central Park off-ramp would be good. One kind of down here could kind of dump off to both those places. And of course we should have one that kind of gets off right there. That might make this a little congested though, so we'll put one there, but we'll potentially rethink it down the road. Let's get our off-ramps situated. So I'm going to do some T-intersections just now to start. And we can fine-tune and tweak these later on. See where it'll let me build it. Slope too steep. So that looks pretty good. We can connect that in okay. Let's do that as a way to dump people off into the Central Park area, this Central Avenue, which we should rename at some point. We'll rename some of the streets. We'll just redo this. I probably didn't need to delete all that. But let's see what a straight shot looks like. From there to there. And there to there. And then we can fix those bends a little bit right here. We'll delete one segment on either side. We'll break out our curve tool. Come out about 10 units and then just slightly curve it in just for a little bit less of a bend. Do the same thing right there. Just so it curves a little bit. It's not as jagged and awkward. I think that's okay. And that gets us down here. Pretty much lined up with that Central Avenue. In fact, let's just rename it. Nice and simple for now, so that it's quick and easy to see at a glance. Center Street. That's the one that takes us to Central Park. Runs right through the center of our downtown area. We will extend this out. You've seen me do this trick before. I love this trick. We don't need bike lanes, but just for consistency and to keep cars from parking there. Let's come out 20 units to give people a little bit of room. Jump back to highway and hook it in. Burst the direction. So maybe rather than have people exit here, we could have them exit on this top 6-lane avenue. I could move the bird and bee haven here. Let's do that. Let's move that over here for now. So that we can kind of do the same thing over here. We'll clean up our power afterwards. And we'll do another T intersection that gets off here. It is, again, going to be a little bit tight here. And as long as we have the industry traffic, it might get a little backed up. But hopefully it won't be too bad. You can see over here, it really kind of ebbs and flows. Like I had traffic backing up almost off the map. And then it goes away. So it's kind of a weird flow, a weird tide coming in and out of traffic into the city. I've started and I'm rethinking the one-ways quite a bit, so I might just convert all these to bike lanes to kind of encourage people to get off the road and see what that does for traffic, but we'll also make some improvements as we drop the metro in, so that will be interesting to see. Let's see what kind of space we need here. We were going to do that like right about there. So let's delete a couple extra segments. We just built this highway and now I'm tearing it all down. A waste of money. So that looks like that could be okay. We could rotate it maybe just a little bit more. Jabs, if you're listening, fine-tune rotation on console will be awesome. Let's connect this back up. We'll do straight shots. Doesn't look like too bad of a bend. And then we'll do the same thing over here. And we'll probably do the curve trick to round that out a bit on both sides. Because that is a little bit awkward of a bend. Just a little bit more than I would like. So let's delete again. One segment on either side. And curve tool and come out about 10. Hook it in. Just give it a little bit of a bend. Same thing over here. A little less awkward. And we're not going to have as much room over here. So come out 10 units maybe before we hook our highway in. Hopefully it will let me do this. Let's see, curve tool. It's going to be a little tight on this side, I think. Oh, it let me do it. Excellent. Yes. Why is that? Did I reverse direction somewhere? Okay, so we've got two. We've got a second highway started up now. This brings us into the city. That'll bring us in over there, over there. We'll do one more down here to kind of dump off down to this area, and maybe we could even continue that highway onto the other side, link it up with this one at some point once we get that tile. Where are we at tile-wise? We do have a tile if we wanted to buy that one. I think we're getting a little close here where that would make sense. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's certainly a lot of buildable space, which is nice. And then maybe we could kind of square off the town. I think that's a decent amount of space to build with. Gets us up into the hills. Maybe gets us up close to the coast. Maybe we go that way more. We'll see. We'll see. We don't need that tile yet. We'll think about it. I promise I won't wait as long as I did to buy the train tile in the last map. We'll decide on something for the city. The focus, again, this is all about getting a city ready for a central park for when park life hits. So this is really our focus here, and then everything else is just kind of spun up off around it based on needs and necessity, based on the demands and the zoning. So we just want to have some fun with it. Let's get a sense for where our highway's going so we can get the shipping hooked up. Kind of feel like I should tunnel over this, or tunnel over? Yeah, let's make a tunnel over the mountain. A tunnel under the mountain. That makes a lot more sense. So let's get this into the ground. We'll reverse the direction on this afterwards. That should be okay, and then we can come back up. We'll do that, and then we'll go fix our directions. That way we can build up on the mountain and not worry about, you know, if we have a little lower density residential up here, maybe put the observatory up here. Don't have to worry about the highway noise and taking up all that zoning. Now maybe what we could do is kind of figure out what we're going to do down here on the coastline. I tried, this one's a little rough and unzonable. Down here it's okay. We could extend this out a little bit. I tried to keep this zoning sharp on this side so that there was enough room. And if we wanted to, we could do some footpaths, little things back here. I mean, we could even make this kind of like a waterside park. So when park life comes out, you can paint different areas. And we could just have a footpath running through here, a gazebo, a little cafe, some fun stuff, and then link back up kind of under here. You know, I don't know it'll be the most populated park, but it might be kind of a fun look for the coast there to have just that little bit of excess space taken up with something that can add attractiveness and generate revenue for the city. Both good things. I'm going to delete this little segment of road and maybe bend off a little bit so that we can zone down by the river over here without having to really reshape our river and change this coastline too much. So let's stick with our bike lanes just for consistency and to give people an excuse. So what if we came out to like here before we kind of curve it back? Something like that. Just a little bit of a bend to get us back on a relatively straight course. To take us down here towards that. We'll hook this up for now with just a 2-lane road. That's fine. Just so we can get it going. Turn this building on. We will need to power and water it, of course. But now we've got shipping. We get some cargo in and out of the city, which is nice. I probably should have connected the highway before worrying about those power lines. But let's do that next. We'll just water along this road in case we want to build anything on there in the short term. Zoning wise, we're in pretty good shape. Let's hit play. Now that we've got most of this hooked back up, we can kind of see how this impacts traffic. You can't visit the monuments now because I've disconnected this road. We'll fill out all this zoning by the highway. We'll do maybe one of our noisy commercial pockets could be over here near the highway. Since they don't mind the noise, and they're going to create a ton of noise themselves. Let's figure out. So I will probably continue this road as a bridge over the highway. Over the water. I'm just messing up left and right today. So let's do one more. Figure out where one more exit's going to go. And right now we're just cheating. We're doing the built-in exits. Where will this let me put this? Let's see here. We could do something like that. Ooh, will it actually let me snap both those in place? That's awesome. That's fantastic. And we could... Trying to think, are we going to need coverage way over here? Maybe. Maybe we could put a little industrial pocket over here or some forestry. Be a nice change. So let's do... Let's do that. Just for now, it's kind of a placeholder. So we'll connect that, because it wouldn't let us drop in the 6 lanes. Not that we need it, but we'll clean that up a bit. Back to our highways. Do our little hook-in trick. Or just connect a straight shot of road accidentally. Do our little hook-in trick and reverse. So now we just need one more of those. Maybe right there by the mall. So... I like it. It works for now. And it will be interesting to see if this starts offloading some of the traffic from these other exits. We'll have to keep an eye on this one. Make sure it doesn't back up to here. That should give people an excuse to not rely solely on those 2 exits now. Or technically they are relying on these 2 exits to get into the city, these 2 T interchanges. But they can get very fast down this side of the city now. If we can. This one's going to be tough without buying the tile up to the north. But maybe we can just squeeze in another T here to bring a highway down this side of the river. That would be kind of nice. See where we can cram that in. But that's for much later down the road. We don't need to worry about that just yet. So as demand creeps up, you can see we're starting to have some problems in the high-tech industry again. And it's just a matter of continuing to develop the commercial areas, and powering this would probably help. That's another important step. Get goods and services in and out of the city. So hopefully that will start rocking and rolling for us. We'll see in the next couple episodes kind of what happens with all that. I think what will make sense is this is definitely going to be another neighborhood. Again, probably a good spot for our first little leisure zone. Not too far from where people live. Hopefully just far enough away that we'll have a little bit of a sound barrier. Maybe we'll throw normal commercial immediately on the street, and then the back streets can have... Let's hook up this electricity while we're here. The back streets can have the noisier leisure spots. We'll be able to do maybe some different things up here in the hills. Maybe we can even get into some residential low density and some local and organic produce up here. But we'll see kind of where we want to expand. I want to really focus in on the grid first. Again, we're shooting for kind of big city Manhattan feel with the project, the focus of this map being Central Park. I kind of want to have one key aspect that I really want to focus in on this map, and I think that's kind of a fun way to build your maps, is if there's something that's really going to be a focal point, kind of design the whole map around that. And Central Park in New York, I think I've said it before, it runs like 60 blocks. You know, this one runs what, 20? It's not nearly as large, but it's a little tough to kind of build on that scale, especially on console. So I really want this to kind of be the focus, and I want to be able to pop into the shoes, or I should say the hooves of the Springdale Doe, and kind of experience Central Park. You know, it's a day out, right? It's an adventure where you can really run around. You can see the Central Park object has a bit of a hill to it. So we'll definitely want to look at that going forward. Again, this Central Park object probably isn't going to stay in here. This is more just a kind of placeholder for some of the things that we will see once Park Life hits. You know, we'll be able to do our own paths, our own fountains, cafes, gazebos. So all sorts of stuff you can do with that. But, you know, kind of to experience it from down here and to see all the tall buildings all around. As these residents continue to level up, the buildings will get bigger and bigger. But we'll have sort of, you know, skyscrapers all around us. And it should be a fun little excursion out in the park when it's all said and done. I thought we were at the halfway point there. We're not. That was the road that cuts through the park, the Central Park object. This is the halfway point. So it's a massive park. I mean, it's got a bit of a traffic problem here. Deers should cross safely just like anybody else. They use the crosswalk. Jump over traffic to be safe. But we'll keep building this out. We'll keep having fun with it. But again, this is really going to be... Whoa. I zipped out of that way faster than I thought I would. This is really going to be the central focus, is kind of having this big city, this massive green park in the middle, all sorts of fun stuff for the Sims to do. And we'll keep meeting the demands, as you can see. Office space is one of the next big ones. So it looks like that another office park's going to be one of our next challenges. Right now, the IT is a little bit tough to keep going. Regular offices seem to offer jobs and are a little bit more stable. So maybe what we can do is build some more office blocks back here, and then later on we could upgrade them to the IT cluster. But then again, I want to keep an eye on where I'm building these things so that we don't have random tall skyscrapers everywhere. Some little bit of shorter offices back here, and those will level up a bit and get a little bit taller as they continue to grow their business. The building itself actually grows. We've got some abandoned housing. It's kind of weird. Hopefully it's not related to our garbage problem over here. I did drop in a prison. Let's just double check. One thing before we go today. Yep, same contractor built these fences, so hopefully we do not have a crime problem. Can we run? Can't run right through the gate. Whoa, where did all you guys come from? You just got dropped off. So I think that's a good place to stop for today. Yeah. So if you enjoyed the video, likes, comments, shares, all appreciated and greatly help out the channel. See, they just walk right through a fence. It's ridiculous. If you're new here, subscribe for more of this. Hit the bell to get notifications. And until the next one, This is Move the Mouse signing off.